I sat at the kitchen table, the morning sunlight streaming softly through the curtains, yet the warmth couldn't reach the chill creeping into my heart. The house was silent, unusually so, as if even the walls were holding their breath. The old clock on the wall ticked steadily, its rhythm strangely accusatory, reminding me of the trust one had built my life on. Trust that now seemed fragile, easily shattered. Julian, my husband of 40 years, had returned from another business dinner. His movements were heavy, and the weight in his eyes suggested exhaustion beyond ordinary fatigue. He tossed his jacket onto the sofa and collapsed onto the bed, letting the familiar springs groan under him. But there was something else, something I had never seen before. A faint, unfamiliar scent. Sweet floral, not his cologne, not anything I recognized. A whisper of a world I hadn't known existed. I continued my routine, cleaning up the scattered items he left behind. His wallet, phone, old laptop. But one detail froze me in place. The glow of a new email on his screen. Julian was never one for emails. All this tech stuff is too complicated. I'd rather call, he would say. And yet, here it was. Curiosity, sharp and painful, urged me to open it. The message was short but devastating. "You were incredible tonight, Dad." Red heart, the word Dad rang in my ears like a chime of betrayal. Who was calling him that? What life had he been hiding from me? My heart pounded as I scrolled for more clues. The email offered none. Just a strange address, a jumble of letters that meant nothing. Yet screamed deceit. I noticed a folded receipt in his pant pocket. San Antonio. He had told me he was in Dallas. San Antonio was where his late mother had lived, a place he always spoke fondly of. And now, a dinner for two at an upscale steakhouse, a bottle of wine he once bought for me for our anniversary. All evidence of a hidden life. I photographed the email and receipt, my hands trembling, the familiar kitchen transforming into a stage for my unraveling reality. My instincts told me something was terribly wrong, but I needed proof. That night, curiosity led me to the garage. The faint smell of gasoline was still in the air, mingling with the same floral scent from earlier. I checked the car carefully. Under the glove compartment I found it. A tube of personal lubricant. Julian and I hadn't been intimate in years. It was a cold, silent confirmation of a secret I hadn't wanted to imagine. The following days became a blur of careful observation. I called an old friend, Mrs. Miller, who recommended a discreet private investigator named Thomas. With his help, the puzzle began to take shape. Photos and videos arrived, capturing Julian in moments I couldn't ignore. Late-night meetings, secret rendezvous, and whispers of a life hidden from me. The person at the center of this? Allison, my daughter-in-law. Shock froze me. The betrayal was unimaginable, layered, and intimate. Julian, the man I had loved, and Allison, the daughter of my own family, entwined in deceit. My emotions oscillated between rage, heartbreak, and disbelief. The past 40 years of trust, the shared life, the memories all seemed to unravel in a single, invisible thread. I realized then that knowing the truth wasn't enough. I needed to act carefully to expose the betrayal and reclaim control. The first step would be subtle, clever. A small replacement that would expose the lies without revealing my presence. I replaced the lubricant in Julian's car with a tube of industrial superglue, an act born not of cruelty, but of necessity, a silent declaration that deception would not go unchallenged. Part of me wanted confrontation. Another part demanded patience. Julian, oblivious, continued with his routine, leaving openings for the next step. I watched, I waited, I collected evidence. Emails, receipts, videos, audio recordings, all pieces of a narrative I never wanted to write but had no choice but to follow. The night arrived when I knew they would meet again. I set up a hidden recording device in the bedroom, disguised by a photo frame, capturing every word, every step, every whisper. Their plan to continue their secret life, their deceitful plots, all revealed in crystal clarity. From my vantage point, I witnessed Julian and Allison unguarded, confident that no one knew. And yet, in the quiet corner of my home, I had become a silent witness, a calculated observer preparing for the reckoning. By the end of part 1, the web was complete. A clear pattern of betrayal, deceit, and secret planning. Julian and Allison had built a hidden world, and I had collected every piece of evidence, ready for the moment when the truth would emerge, not in whispered confrontations, but in an undeniable, unignorable revelation. The sun had set, casting the house in shadows that seemed to stretch longer than usual. Every corner of my home, every familiar object, now carried the weight of the secret I held. Julian and Allison believed they were untouchable, their hidden world safe from scrutiny. But I had waited, observed, and planned, and tonight, the truth would demand attention. That I reviewed the evidence one final time. The emails, receipts, videos, all meticulously catalogued. I knew that confronting them directly would not have the impact I needed. This had to be undeniable, inescapable, a revelation that would expose the betrayal in front of everyone who mattered. I began with a subtle step, sending copies of the incriminating emails and videos anonymously to family members and close friends. The reactions were immediate. Messages poured in, shocked whispers of disbelief spreading like wildfire. Julian's carefully crafted image, the man everyone admired and trusted, was beginning to crumble. Next, I prepared the ultimate confrontation. Julian returned home, oblivious to the storm brewing in the background. I asked him to sit with me in the living room, calm yet firm, as if nothing was out of the ordinary. Allison, unaware of the trap, followed him, carrying the same confidence that had once made them feel invincible. Julian, Allison, I began, my voice steady, I think it's time we had an honest conversation. Their expressions froze, a mix of confusion and suspicion. I pressed play on the hidden device, and the recordings filled the room. Every secret meeting, every whisper, every betrayal, laid bare, unignorable. Julian's face turned pale and Allison's composure cracked. No, this can't be real, Julian stammered, his voice faltering. I'm afraid it is, I said softly, yet with the weight of 1,000 truths behind it. Everything you thought was hidden has been recorded, saved, and shared. Everyone knows now. The silence that followed was deafening. The betrayal, once hidden in shadows, now had light shone upon it. Julian tried to speak, but the words seemed inadequate, empty excuses that could never erase the deceit. Allison's eyes darted around, realizing that her web of lies had collapsed entirely. The aftermath was swift. Family members confronted them directly, demanding answers, justice, and accountability. Julian's professional reputation, already fragile from rumors, began to unravel as colleagues learned of his double life. Allison faced the scorn and disappointment of the very family she had deceived. For me, the feeling was not just vindication, it was liberation. The fear, the suspicion, the sleepless nights, they were finally over. I had confronted the deception, reclaimed my life, and exposed the truth without violence, without bitterness consuming me entirely. Yet, the story left lingering questions. How could a person you trusted for decades harbor such secrets? How could love and loyalty be tested so cruelly? These reflections haunted me, but they also strengthened me. I realized that trust must always be earned, not assumed, and that courage often comes quietly, in the patience to gather evidence and the wisdom to act decisively. Weeks passed. Julian and Allison were forced to face the consequences of their actions. Relationships severed, reputations damaged, and a life once built on lies irrevocably changed. I rebuilt my days around clarity and honesty, surrounding myself with those who valued truth above appearances. And in the quiet moments, I often remembered the morning sunlight through the curtains, the day when suspicion first crept into my heart. It had been a turning point, a reminder that sometimes the world you know is not the world you live in, and that discovering the truth, no matter how painful, is always the first step toward freedom. By the end, everyone understood that betrayal could no longer hide behind smiles and charm. The truth, as devastating as it was, brought closure, justice, and a sense of peace that no secret could ever take away.